Hi guys, it's Nat at Illustrious Shadows Plans. Today I thought I'd give you a little overview of how my reading tracker is going in my planner and how my actual reading goals are going in 2024. Just before we get into the books and the review of what I've been reading, I'm just going to apologise quickly for any focus issues that are going on in this video. I am trying to focus it. My camera has an autofocus option, which today doesn't seem to be working too well. And the manual focus won't work because I'm changing the depth of field with the different books and stuff. So I'm really sorry if things go blurry. I don't know what's wrong with it. Now, you're not mistaken, this is not filled in for a reason, and I'll explain that in a minute, but the idea that I had, if you haven't seen my how I'm using my notes pages video, is that I would, with my sprocket, when I've finished 4 books, I'll print off the covers and stick them in, and my goal for 2024 was to read 24 books. As you can see, I actually have space for 26 books, just of how layout worked, but the overall goal was 24 in 2024. And I've been rating the books as I've been reading them. The other thing that I've been doing is marking off the books that I've got on my bookshelf, which I really wanted to read, and I've been kind of going through this, and when I read them I've been ticking them off. And I had set up a reading tracker, a reading log, which I'll show you a little bit closer. I haven't really stuck with filling this bit in particular, and that is because I just kind of forget about it. It's at the back of my notes pages, and for me, out of sight is definitely out of mind. So this doesn't get filled in very often. It's now nearly the end of April, so I don't really see the point of trying to go back and backdate it. I might pick it up again and try and fill it in the future, but for now we're just going to accept that this doesn't work for me, this kind of thing. So my 2024 reading goals were quite simple. So no buying new books, reviewing every book that I read, 1 book in, 1 book out, and try and read 24 books. Like I said at the start of the video, you don't have to be a genius to see that I haven't actually stuck any pictures in this bit yet, and I've only got 2 books that I've finished. So I've written in pencil which books they were. So this is The 7 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle, and this is a book called A Tidy Ending, which I'll come on to in a minute. I do also have in here a space for reviewing books, which I will just try and find for you now. Here we go. So I have kind of 4 pages set aside for reviews of books, and again you can see this isn't massively filled in. So I have done a review of The 7 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle. I really enjoyed this book. I think it's fantastic, and I'm really glad that I got it and that I've read it. And I've done a little review of A Tidy Ending as well, which I really did not enjoy. And part of the reason why my reading hasn't gone so well this year, I think, so far, is because I've picked up 2 books in a row that I really haven't enjoyed. So I started really strong with The 7 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle. This book is fantastic. I would fully recommend it if you're into kind of mystery fiction, unusual fiction. It's a little bit sci-fi, it's a little bit fantasy, it's a little bit weird. There's a big plot twist, which I won't say anything more about, but there is several different plot twists actually, and it does really keep you guessing until the end. It's a really engaging book. It is quite a long book. I've got my copy here, so as you can see it's quite chunky, but it is really good and I would really recommend it. So it's by Stuart Turton, 7 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle. This is staying on my bookshelf because I really enjoyed it so much, and it's so layered that I want to go back and read it again at some point. So this one I'm going to keep. After the disappointment of A Tidy Ending, I picked up this book, City of Bones by Cassandra Clare. And this book has been the main blocker. I've been stuck on this book since the end of January. So I sped through The Seven Deaths, and then I sped through A Tidy Ending because it's not a very long book, and I settled on this one for my next book to read off of my bookshelf. And yeah, it didn't work. It doesn't work for me. I don't particularly enjoy the writing style. It's a slog. This is book 1 of 7, I think. I've got the box set, and I just can't be bothered with it. And for a long time I was thinking, don't DNF, don't DNF, don't DNF. But I'm gonna have to DNF this because it's not great. I think, if you excuse the condition of it, my toddler got hold of it. I think this is the kind of book that 20 years ago I would absolutely have devoured. I would have loved everything Cassandra Clare had written, and I think now I've matured and changed and grown up in my reading style, and that is something I hadn't maybe acknowledged before, but this has really shown me that yes, I do like things like ACOTAR. I really like the ACOTAR series. I need to finish it because the size of Silver Flame is putting me off, but I did enjoy the 4 that I've read, apart from the Christmassy one, which was just weird. Yeah, the size of that last one is putting me off, but this kind of thing would have been my bread and butter read when I was a teenager, and I'm not that person anymore, and I think I need to accept that and move on. I think I will keep the box set that I've got, because I might come back to it. It might be something that, if I'm looking for something that's a little bit less serious to read, that I can have a look at again. But it just didn't work for me, and that put me into this massive reading slump, and it was really, really annoying because I was on such a roll at the beginning of the year. And then I thought about what book do I want to pick up next, and I couldn't really think what I wanted. I was like, I need something that's going to stimulate my mind but also isn't so hard to read that I can't understand it. And I have been reading a long time ago. I started reading Virginia Woolf's The Waves, which is one of the most fascinating books I think I've ever read. I've only got about a quarter of the way into it, but it is just the way he's written it is so fascinating. It's a really weird style, so basically it's kind of real full stream conscience. It's kind of a real full stream of consciousness book, so there's no punctuation really, there's no real kind of structure to the paragraphs or chapters or anything like that. It's just the words of these, I think it's 6 children as they grow up and as they live their lives. And I didn't get a very long way into it, but it's a really interesting read. But it is really hard work because you have to kind of figure out who's talking and what they're saying and what they mean. And the beginning of the book, they're quite young children, so they don't always say what they mean, and they're talking kind of childish terms and all of this. And it feels like you're studying the book. And some people love that, but for me, that's something that, if I'm reading, I want to read it as an escape. And I want to read to enjoy it. And I did enjoy that experience, but I didn't enjoy it as much as I could have. And then I found this at my gym, which has a little lending library, or a bring one, take one library, if you will. So this is Grapes of Wrath by John Steinbeck. And this has got me back into reading again, I think. I'm about 100 pages in, and you can see this copy is absolutely battered and beaten. But this is possibly the best book that I've read in the last 10 years, I would say. I've read a lot of books in the last 10 years that I've really enjoyed. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of books that I've read that I've thought, yeah, that's really good. I've recommended to people. I've bought them copies for their birthdays, that kind of thing. But this, the prose is stunning. And you might be watching this and thinking, yeah, Steinbeck. I never read Steinbeck at school. I haven't read Of Mice and Men, I haven't read Cannery Row, haven't read any of his books before. I was coming into this completely blind, and I picked it up and I thought, I don't know if it really sounds like something I'd like, but I read the first page and I just wanted to kind of show you what kind of captured me is his style of writing and his prose and the descriptions that he gives for everything. It's just mind-blowingly beautiful, and this book is helping me to feel much more in tune with myself because I'm relating the experiences that the characters are having to the experiences that other people are having in the world today, and I'm able to be very grateful and get some gratitude that this isn't happening to me. And that sounds really weird and maybe a bit trite, but I think sometimes I can get into my own head a little bit too much and I can think, oh, woe is me, but actually I am very lucky to live in the world that I live in. I'm very lucky to live in the country that I live in. I'm very lucky to live in the area of the country that I live in, and I'm very lucky to have a job. I'm very lucky to have a husband. I'm very lucky to have a house and a son, and all of these things that I'm so incredibly lucky to have. And those things weren't just handed to me, but equally those things weren't something that I would necessarily have had if things had been different, if, you know, I'd been born in a different circumstance or if I'd been born in a different place. And I think this book is really showing me that humankind has to come over so many different obstacles sometimes. You can kind of forget that your problems aren't the most important thing in the world, and the beauty and the way Steinbeck is putting things in this book is really helping me to accept that and appreciate that. And it's the first time in a very long time that I've actually gone through and I've started to highlight things, and oh, we've lost focus, sorry about that. So I've gone through and I've started to highlight things, and they're just little passages that I really like, and they really resonate with me. And sometimes they're not even passages that I think, yeah, that means something to me. They're just, the words are just stunning, and the cadence of the sentences and the structure and everything that he's putting into this, just, it's blowing me away. Yeah, I'm so pleased that I found a book that is capturing me as much as this one. I have absolutely no idea where this story is going, so the bit that I've got to is that the Judd family have literally just left their house and they have just got onto the road. I can't figure out how that many people, 4 dogs and all their belongings, are fitting in the back of a car, but I think I'm probably missing something in the context of the time. But, you know, I can't tell where it's going. I can't tell you where it's going to go, except it's probably not going to be a very good place and it's going to be sad, but I am here for it, and I'm here all the way. So that's my current read at the moment, and it is going stormingly, but that's kind of capturing me again, and I hope that after that I will move on to another book which also captures me. So I've got 3 options, and I just wanted to show you those 3 before I finish this video, because I'd like to get your opinions on where I go first, because they're all completely different. So option 1 is this, Richard Osman's The Last Devil to Die, which is a new Thursday Murder Club mystery. If you haven't read any of the Thursday Murder Club mysteries, you need to get on them. If you like comedy, if you like kind of silliness but still seriousness, they're not fast food books, but they aren't exactly highbrow, but equally they are really clever and they're very, very funny. And all 3 of his other books laugh out loud in public places, so I've got high hopes for this one. The second option is completely different to everything that I've read so far. Again, probably in the last, God, it's probably since my degree that I've had to read, or I've chosen to read anything like this. So this is Awakenings. It's by Dr. Oliver Sacks, who is a neuropsychologist. And this is all about the invention of L-Dopa, which is the drug that we now use to treat Parkinson's disease. It has some other applications and there's some other sciencey stuff going on, but basically this book, as far as I understand, it's actually about the sleeping sickness epidemic, which happened in North America, I think. I might be wrong, but it happened, and basically these people fell asleep in the 1920s and they didn't wake up, and nobody knew what was going on. We didn't have the technology at the time to figure out what was going on, and it was just basically a case of keeping these people alive but not awake. And Oliver Sacks kind of documents the introduction of L-Dopa, which helped to wake these people up and to get them back into a conscious state. So he's also written these other books, and I've read The Man Who Mistook His Wife for a Hat and Seeing Voices, and they are both just fantastic books. They're really interesting. I just wonder, after something that's as heavy as The Grapes of Wrath, if maybe I want to go a bit more light-hearted. We'll see. And then the third and final option is Cloud Atlas, which is by David Mitchell, and this, I've heard fantastic things about this book. It's a really pretty cover as well. It's really nice blue. I don't actually know what this book is about. Again, I mean, I've read the blurb and it sounds really interesting. I don't know if this is the David Mitchell who's a comedian in the UK, or if it's a different David Mitchell. I have just heard people say the words Cloud Atlas when you read any suggestion of literature books, what you should read, or that you should read. Yeah, this comes up time and time again, and I saw this in the charity shop and I thought, yes, I'm going to grab that. And that kind of ties into my point about the 1 in, 1 out system. I have bought maybe 6 or 7 books, I think, so my no-buy has gone badly as well. I've not paid more than £1.50 for a book though, so that's good. And I just have an addiction to charity shops, so, you know, and I just need to remember to actually do the out bit of 1 in, 1 out. So those are the 3 options. I think I am going to go ahead and I'm going to put City of Bones up here as a DNF, and then I'm going to put Grapes of Wrath in here, and then at least I'll have 4 pictures in, but I'm not going to do it until I finish Grapes of Wrath, because that gives me an incentive to do so. And I will put a little review of City of Bones in the back bit where I've got the review space as well, and that maybe feels a little bit more palatable. So that's kind of a roundup of my reading at the moment. So I will get on and try and finish Grapes of Wrath pretty soon. I'm averaging about 10 pages a day since I've started reading it, so that's quite good. So I should be finished fairly shortly. I mean, it's how many pages long? 400 odd pages long. So I need to really up my pace if I want to finish it anytime soon. But if I can get through this and enjoy it as much as I've enjoyed the first 100 pages, I will be back on track. So thank you very much for watching. I'm really sorry about the focus issues again. I appreciate it's not very easy to watch a video where the camera is going in and out of focus, and it is really quite irritating on both sides. So if you stuck with me this far, thank you very, very much. I'll be back with another plan with me next week. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye bye.